Hi, everybody. Welcome to the. Pardon? Welcome to the special board meeting of Friday, May 30th, 2025. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Director Thomas,
I'm here.
Director Ratterman,
Here.
Director Robertson,
Here.
and President Davidson.
I'm here as well. Item number 2, public comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board in any non-agendized item. Public is encouraged to work through staff to place items on the agenda for board consideration. No action can be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Is there any public comment here present today? Is there any online? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to the new business. Board candidate interviews for appointment of a board seat, Division 2. General Manager, you want to give us an overview?
Sure. I guess that's Michael's punting it to me.
All right, go ahead.
So this is the item that we've recently gone through, but we'll have interviews for candidates for the vacant spot. The board, I think, has some pre-arranged questions. Then they are entitled to ask whatever questions within appropriate. And then they, after that, the board has a decision of whether you want to appoint today or to consider it and appoint at a later date. Because I think the vacancy has only been not quite 30 days, right? Yeah. So you have time to do it at a different meeting if you so desire, or you can do it today.
Okay. All right, so the way we did it last time, it worked out well, was we took, we're going to take the candidates in order of when they submitted their application. Right now, it's Jack Garamendi first, Catherine Eastburn, Julio Guerrera, and then Robert Dean. Right, from what I understand, the other candidate has withdrawn their application. So it just worked out better that we're going to ask the same questions, but just for clarity and for the board's needs, we'll ask that everyone stay out in the lobby until the first questionnaire is over. After you've taken your turn being asked the questions, you're welcome to stay in and sit. Obviously, we don't want you to comment if you can't, but we're also gonna hold off any public comment until after all the candidates are completed. And then if the board is willing, we can make a motion. There could be more than one, and we will vote. And as soon as we will also vote in the order of the whoever the first nominated was. So with that, is there any questions anybody have? At the end of our in regards to the candidates, at the end of all 4 interviews? No, there was a general. What are we going to do there? I mean, that's the item hasn't started yet, so there's nothing to comment on.
No, we have 3A and 3B. At the end of 3A, we'll take public comment, right? That's what you're saying. And then we have 3B would be making motion for
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
nomination.
right. That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't clarify that. Okay, so with that, we'll excuse 3 of you. All right, our first candidate is former supervisor and man of many talents, Jack Garamendi. Jack, we're just going to read these off. I'll read them off for you. Just give us, the best response that you possibly could. First of all, what motivated you to apply for this position?
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, directors General Manager, Council, Clerk. Thanks for having me today. I'm Jack Caramindy, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here before you today. I believe I'm best suited for this job for a couple of reasons. First being that we have got a lot of things in front of this county and this board. And I believe that this board and the work that happens here is vital to the future economic growth and sustainability of our county. I believe I'm well qualified for this because I have a long history working collaboratively, serving on public boards, getting things done. And I certainly understand Division 2. I represented it for 8 years. I understand the place and people from West Point over to Sheep Ranch and Avery down to Paloma and over towards Valley Springs. It's a community that I understand. My family's been here in the 5th generation in this county, and I know just how important this job is. And I feel like my expertise and my experience can be a benefit to working on your team.
All right. Okay, thank you. Some of these questions kind of blend together, but question 2 here is, why are you the best candidate for the position, which you stated a little bit. Please speak your relevant experience, understanding of CCWD and its district number 2. Anything else the board should consider in making its decision?
Thank you. I do understand, the role of public servant, the role or kind of answered part of this.
You did.
I apologize. And I could talk a long time, but I'm going to try to be concise for your benefit and benefit of everybody
It
else.
doesn't always count in your favor in this board, obviously.
I thank you.
Well, if there are questions and follow-up, I'm happy to answer them as we go. The role of this, Mr. President, can you please recite the question again?
Sure. Why are you the best candidate for the position? Please speak your relevant experience, understanding. And I think you could explain some of your experience with some of the other joint boards, JPAs, and things that we've worked on in the past. Understanding of CCWD and its District 2, anything else the board should consider in making a decision?
Absolutely. I have a great deal of experience in both water and government. You have a copy of my resume. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've worked on large projects and small projects. Certainly representing District 2, now Division 2 for CCWD, gave me great insights as to what's going on. And I had the privilege of working with many members on this board, as well as your organization, to find ways to collaborate together. This is the largest water agency and infrastructure agency in this county, and working collaboratively with the county and our other agencies is a real advantage. Understanding, that first off, we work for the people, our public board. It's important for us to remember that they are our boss. And it's also important to remember that we are a policy board. This board exists to give direction to the staff. We're not the general manager. But it's also very important that we understand all the functioning of this board, how the budgets work, what the long-term vision is, how it all comes together for the future of our county. And those are things that I believe I understand and I can work collaboratively on. I've worked on watersheds, protecting our water rights along with this board, dealing with direct services. You represent, for example, West Point. You provide services there as a county representative. I got to interact back and forth. So providing those services are vital. I think the most important thing is to realize that this is the board that really brings the infrastructure to our county. If we are going to provide the housing or the economic benefit that this county needs in a long time, infrastructure, the water, the power are key elements to that. We've got a lot of real big projects coming down the pipe in this county. When you deal with projects like North Fork relicensing, that impacts the entire county and will for the next 30, 40 years. So it's really important that we get that right. And I've learned over my time in elected office, especially serving on a board, how important it is to collaborate, to respect the knowledge that people bring to your fellow board members bring, also presenting your own opinions and presenting and representing your district, but working collaboratively. When I first became an elected representative, Mike DeLorda, who many of you know, a former county supervisor, took me through Moke Hill and he said, "You have to learn to count to 3. I said, why do I have to learn to count to 3? He said, because you can't do anything by yourself on a board. You have to work with people. Now, being a kid from Paloma, it took me a number of years to learn to count to 3, but I finally figured it out. And it was probably one of the best pieces of advice I got. So I believe I'm the best qualified for this position because of my experience, because of my understanding of how public boards work, who they work for, and the role that they play, both for the people and for the well-being of the district.
Okay. Great. All right. What do you believe are the most important issues facing the district, and how would you work to address them if appointed to the board?
Certainly, I think the most important issue is always to stay intact with our mission, what we're supposed to do. The big issues that we're facing, and I appreciate the fact that this board has already navigated the 218 process. So congratulations.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So I think that when we look at the major issues that we're facing, I think paramount is going to be Norfolk. And when we deal with things like ratepayer costs, we deal with things like how do we provide services, it's all going to come down to revenue. And what revenue we could generate to help provide better service to our constituents, to the people who are paying the water bills is really important. And a large part of that's going to come out of efficient and well running this organization well as it is, but also finding ways to generate additional revenue. I know that in Director Robertson's interview, there were questions about fees and can those be reduced? That's an economic question. If we do well, perhaps we can do that. But we also have to think long-term. When we talk about growth in this county, it's going to be CCWD as well as our other districts that are going to allow that to happen. So that's one of the great priorities of the county is growing and building housing, for example. And that's going to, there are ways that we can collaborate with the county, with the state to really reach those goals. And I know this board has been very active in that. We shared a lot of overlap and cooperation. I'd really like to continue that going forward. So first, the greatest issues facing us, I believe, is ongoing continued well management of this organization and particularly the relicensing of the North Fork now that comes together.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. And lastly, what is your view of the role and responsibilities of a successful public agency board member?
View of the responsibilities of a public. Well, first off, it's always remember who you work for. I've always found that to be useful. And that is we work for the people, who are part of this county. The most important thing that I can bring is collaborative approach. I know some things well. I know a lot of things, maybe a little bit. And so you have to walk into any job like this with a sense of humility and wanting to learn what's going on, how you can participate. And so I think that those are probably our most important issues. I hope that I could contribute to a well-run organization that's transparent, that is accountable to the people, and work collaboratively with this board to really move things forward. It's always nice to apply for a board that's not broken. And join a working and functioning team. Many of us have worked on boards before that don't function that well. And working on a functioning good board is a real pleasure because you really are able to accomplish the people's work and get things done. Dysfunction never leads to good results. Board. Political grandstanding is never a good way to go about things.
All right. Well, are we following up or we're not going to follow up? We just, okay. Pardon? Does the board have any follow-up questions regarding those 4 questions?
Nope.
The one thing that I would like to bring up here is that this is a very relatively short term that should be filling. It's kind of important in my mind, and other board members have expressed this, that continuity would be very important. So are you in a position that you would be leaning toward running again for re-election?
Actually, Director Thomas, that is a question that my wife asked me as I walked out the door. And I said, I hate to sort of presume anything until I have a job. And I figured out, I think that's a question I will take on this winter. There's work to be done today and this week, next week, and I'll focus on that. And I will make that decision in the winter. But I agree with continuity because one thing I have also learned on public board is historic knowledge and experience really does matter.
That sounded like a political response. So
All right. Anything else?
Your back, Director.
Jeff, do you have anything?
I do not.
All right. Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Jack.
much.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity to.
Thank you for the interest. Will, something, you gonna ask Catherine to come in? Welcome, Catherine. I think you heard us before, but just to go over it, we're gonna ask you 4 questions and then the board may have a follow-up at the end. They're the same 4 questions for everybody. So if you're ready, we'll get started. Okay, what made, I'm sorry, what?
I think I'm ready.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be fine. What motivated you to apply for this position?
Of course, it's the money.
Really.
Somebody
I am-
gave you
I
the
am-
wrong information.
In all seriousness, I have to say that because so many
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
don't. In all seriousness, many years ago, when I first moved to this county, back in 2002, I came to CCWD as a temp and I worked 2 different stints at CCWD for almost a year. And I really just developed a kind of an affinity. I don't want to say I'm a stalker or anything like that, but I have an affinity for CCWD. I have a soft spot in my heart. And so I have the time now. I have the ability. Many, many years ago, right around that time, I wrote a list called What I Want. And it allowed me to really just hone and clarify my life. I started to manifest the things on my list. There's a couple of things that I really haven't gotten to and I want to get to. And that is, I wrote them down because I don't want to forget, do meaningful work and make a difference for others. I'm able and willing to put in the time and the dedication to contribute to the efforts. And I want to be here for the district
Okay,
and for Division 2,
all right.
in which I live.
Okay, thank you. Okay, why are you the best candidate for the position? Please speak to your relevant experience, understanding of CCWD and its District 2, and anything else the board should consider in making its decision.
So I think I have a unique combination of background and education. My background is in accounting. I am currently a director of business services for a school district. I manage a $12.8 million budget, multi-fund budget. It's very similar to CCWD's budget. I work on all the strategic planning, federal and state grants, local grants, policy. We had a 3-day policy workshop last year where we went through every single policy of the district. That was so much fun. I've also worked as an accountant here at CCWD, so I have intimate knowledge of pretty much everything that goes on at this district. Grant funds, I was involved in CIP loans, capital improvement project reporting, investment reporting. So I had my hand in quite a lot of things. I'm not saying I was an expert at any of them, but I did have my hand in that and I worked closely with the people that did manage those things. I spent several years as a project manager in the medical device industry. I led projects to completion even when people didn't really want to complete them. I have a very good ability to motivate people or really to find out what their motivating factor is and to motivate them. I am very analytical and detail oriented, but I'm able to step back and look at the big picture with everybody else. I don't get immersed in what my point of view is. I'm cooperative. I've negotiated win-win agreements with unions, other tough groups. I'm able to work through conflict. And I have a background working with boards. I've been on boards. I have been the board clerk for boards. I have presented to boards. So I've done pretty much everything as far as boards go.
I gotta apologize. I get these cramps in my neck. And so if I'm, I mean, it happened the other day at the board meeting and it just happened. So, pardon me?
Are you saying I'm a pain in your neck?
No, that's all. I just don't want it to appear like that. Okay.
Sometimes he can be a pain in our neck.
Okay, all right. What do you believe are the most important issues currently facing the district? And how would you work to address them if appointed to the board?
So I think all of the important issues at the district boil down to one word, and that is finances. It also depends on how you define important. Are you talking about time or are you talking about money? When you're talking about time, the FERC relicensing is of the utmost importance. It's a little less monetarily in terms of how much it brings in at the current time. If you're talking about money and time, you're talking about all your capital improvement, all your infrastructure, everything that needs to happen in the next minute to have this district be able to provide quality water and continue to provide it in the future. Customer relations is right up there. I think it's very important to be out in the community, to be relating with the people that are in your division and in other divisions. Just being out in the community and working with people and getting different opinions. And I think employee relations, including retention, are extremely important.
Okay. Okay, lastly, what is your view of the role and responsibilities of a successful public agency board member?
The most important duty of a board member is to read and listen to the information that's presented and to internalize that information, to think about it, to analyze it from internal sources, external sources, reading everything you can read and put your hands on, going to meetings that you that are within the scope of related to water issues. But not just water issues, because there are other issues that impact water issues. So just being widely read and internalizing that information. I believe it's extremely important for board members. I've been on the other side of this many times, to stay out of the day-to-day operation. It's a board member's responsibility and role to set policy, to review guidelines, to present a united front when, and by that, I don't necessarily mean everybody has to vote the same all the time. I mean, when a vote has been made, then if you're on the losing end of that, then you need to be gracious and support the decision that was made and take that out to the community. Responsibilities of a board member, protect the water resources that are available to us, look for other water resources if possible, ensure the fiscal solvency of the district for the long term, forever. Shepherd good agreements with other agencies, work with other people, network as much as you can. And when it's possible, assist the district to avoid litigation. It's important to advocate for one or a small group of constituents, but it's also important to understand that you're here for the greater good of everybody in this community, not just your division, not just one person, not just one group, but the greater good of the whole community.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Does the board have any follow-up?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say, since we asked the previous candidate the same question that Russ has asked.
Yeah.
How are you seeing this? Are you, at this point, should you be selected, would you intend to run for reelection?
Yes. Let's go.
Very nice to see you again, Catherine.
Okay, anything else?
I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. The board, you have an impressive array of candidates to choose from today, and I'm so pleased that so many people applied for this that are impressive, because I care about this district and I want good things. So I look forward to, working with you if you choose me. And I'll be honored to help in any way I can.
All right.
If you don't,
Thank you so much.
yeah, or if you do.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Pretty
Julio,
good.
thank you for being here. Again, I think everyone's heard this, but we got 4 questions that we're going to ask you. And then we'll perhaps do one follow-up from the board after that. But you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what motivated you to apply for this position?
Having been in the field of water quality for 35 years, until my ultimate retirement in 2015, I kind of missed the field. And since then, I have worked as a board member for the Pine Grove Community Services District and the West Point Cemetery District as, you know, as a means of contributing to the community. And I kind of miss water quality. And I am very interested.
Okay. All right, why are you the best candidate for the position? Please speak to your relevant experience, understanding of CCWD and its District 2, and anything else the board should consider in making its decision.
Well, I started out at the end of the pipe in 1981 as a wastewater treatment plant operator trainee. And by 1983, I had started the first industrial waste division of the city of Merced in the pre-treatment program. By 1985, I, based on my assessment, I tested the drinking water for tetrachloroethylene and discovered a humongous plume that was caused by the dry cleaners in Merced. And I was the foreman of the Environmental Control Division until I retired from the city of Merced in 1981. And my duties included Safe Drinking Water Act monitoring well inspection, as well as wastewater inspections. And when I retired from the city of Merced in 2001, in 2003, I started Mother Lode Wastewater Compliance, and I was a contract operator. And I started with the city of Ione as their chief operator in 2003. And despite not having focused on wastewater treatment, I had the Castle Oaks water reclamation plant running like a clock in just a matter of 3 months. And it was a tertiary treatment. You're probably familiar with it. A tertiary treatment facility that provides the water for Castle Oaks Golf Course. And following that period, I was general manager of the Bear Valley Water District. And one of my major accomplishments there was the tertiary treatment requirement was I was able to demonstrate to the regional board that it was it was overkill. And they actually reduced that to a secondary level requirement. And, and following that, I worked as general manager of Murphy Sanitary District. And at that's where Cindy, the previous director here, was our office manager, and I basically shepherded her into water quality, which she ultimately became a director here. And and following that, I worked as chief operator for San Andreas Sanitary, and Gary Gio and Rourke Weber made me a contract operator for them. And during this period, I had my experiences wide ranging in terms of what I did for local communities like Plymouth, which I helped draft their SSMP, and I did their monitoring well sampling, and actually wrote the reports that were endorsed by their engineer. And I ended up working part-time with Plymouth until my retirement in 2015. And like I said, from where the water comes out of the ground to where it gets delivered to the customers and then received again for treatment, and then actually discharged to the environment. And which, yeah, another thing was that I was NPDES reporting. I did the NPDES reporting for every facility I worked for. And so my portfolio extends from groundwater to surface water. And I'm thoroughly familiar with the mission of the district.
Okay, great. What do you believe are the most important issues currently facing the district, and how would you work to address them if appointed to the board?
Well, number one is to responsibly treat and deliver water at the lowest cost possible, but knowing that there are requirements that have to be met that drive up the bill. It's quite a balancing act. And in terms of the district itself, I'm aware that the Wilseyville pond is being decommissioned, and that's a good thing. And like I said, you got to have somebody that can explain why the costs are what they are and work to keep them down as a major focus.
Okay. Art, what is your view of the role and responsibilities of a successful public agency board member?
To be there when the public needs to understand what's going on, that needs to be explained thoroughly, and to actually communicate with the public and to be up to date on all of the aspects of what the district is doing.
Okay. All right, I might as well ask the question I think the board is gonna follow up with. If you are elected, it's a 1.5 year term. Do you believe you'll seek reelection or actually, we should ask that question, whether you win or lose, what happens today, whether you're appointed or not, will you seek reelection or seek election in a 1.5 years?
Yeah, if I'm selected, then, you know, it is a real bonus to not have to face election for the first period. But if I can create a record that's worthy, I would certainly continue.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else from the board?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, Julio.
Thank you, Julio.
Betcha.
Well, let's see about that. I just assume you were walking around the halls already saying hi to everybody. All right, Bob, as I said before, we're gonna ask you 4 questions and then perhaps a follow-up at the end. So we'll just get right into it if you're ready.
That's fine.
Okay, what motivated you to apply for this position?
Well, first of all, I was sort of surprised that Sydney had resigned. I had been thinking about running in the next election. But there are a number of issues that I'd like to see CCWD tackle. And I felt that if I was on the board, I might have an opportunity to help lead that process. Regardless of whether I am or not, it doesn't really matter because these things need to be addressed. And I do what I can as much on the outside as I would on the inside. So.
Okay. Well, that question will come up here shortly. Why are you the best candidate for the position? Please speak to your relevant experience, understanding of CCWD and its District 2, and anything else the board should consider in making this decision.
Well, I've had 9 years on the board. Prior to leaving the board, Terry replaced me and then Cindy. During that period, after that period of time, I also was instrumental in getting the Resource Conservation District started in the county. And I spent a lot of time working with that. So I'm pretty conversant with, a lot of Brown Act issues, a lot of the water code issues that we're faced in addressing even with the RCB. And I just felt that I had the expertise and the interest, and was hoping that I'd be able to bring them back into play when we start addressing the issues that I think are important.
Okay. What do you believe are the most important issues currently facing the district, and how would you work to address them if appointed to the board?
Well, I think the most important issue, I think I stated that, are rates. They were huge. When I was on the board, I think I went through 2 different rate increases. And there's so many things that have to be addressed. Economies of scale. To what extent are we able to sit down with other water districts in the county and see what we can do to make common a lot of the infrastructure that might allow us to buy things for less expensive. The most important thing, quite frankly, is to take this issue to the state, because they're the ones that are establishing and controlling what we cannot do. Like, for instance, I remember there were several discussions, and I was always reminded that, you can't have a special rate of a special class of ratepayers. And that's come up time and time again. And basically, I think it was done originally to curb excesses of water districts and development. But I think now it's a block on what we can do to address the kinds of things that need to be addressed to help disadvantaged communities, retirees, people on fixed income, disabled individuals. These are all people who
who need some rate relief, but it's not going to happen. We can't be generous and still serve the communities because our primary, when I say our, like CCWD's primary role is public health and safety. And if we address that, but take it to the state and say, listen, you need to change some of these strictures that keep us from being able to do the kinds of things that we need to do in order to make this water service possible. That's just one thing, but I would like to see an effort locally to try to develop some economies of scale.
Okay, is that it? All right. What is your view of the role and responsibilities of a successful public agency board member?
So I think to be aware of the issues, to support, develop, and maintain transparency as much as possible. And I think most importantly, try to anticipate what needs are coming and how we can address those before the fact rather than after the fact. We don't want to chase the ball. We want the ball to be able, we want to be able to control that ball to the extent that we possibly can.
Okay. And then the board had a follow-up about, and you probably already answered that. If you serve the 1.5-year term, would you consider running again? Or will you, if you're not appointed today, would you still consider to run in 4 years?
Yeah, I would. And I've also talked to the other individuals who are here interested in the same position that I would certainly be supportive of them and give them any help I possibly could, because I do have some experience.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the board?
No, thank you for showing up, Bob. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all very much. We want to take a break or just go through it? Oh, we have public comment. Is there any public comment on out there today? You want to come forward or just speak loudly?
Afternoon, board. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Hello, Director Robertson.
Hi there.
Good afternoon. I'm CCWD customer Ralph Copeland from Copperopolis, located in Division 4. For at least 4 years, I attended most CCWD board and committee meetings. Ultimately, I became disillusioned with this board during the most recent utility rate study and rate increases. Still, there was one rate increase discussion that caught my attention. The Director of Administrative Services said the board could have paid better attention to their capital improvement projects. In other words, the board could have done a better job with ratepayers' monies. In case the board has forgotten, the rate increases were primarily driven by the need to fund capital improvements. Specifically, you need to replace aging infrastructure and upgrade facilities. The new plan entails significant rate increases, potentially reaching nearly 70% for water and 62% for wastewater over the 5-year period. During the final public rate increase meeting, 2 directors wanted to revisit the new rate schedule in 2 years, a move seen as an olive branch to disgruntled ratepayers.
Ralph, are you going to hit on the topic that we're?
But this 3
Public
director
comment.
majority overrode them. After a 1.5 years, CCWD ratepayers are still at the mercy of groupthink by 3 directors.
Ralph, can I have your attention, please? Is this-
CCWD
Is this related to
ratepayers
this?
deserve a director who possesses a gold-plated BS detector. Someone not only knows their district, but knows Calaveras County, its nuts and bolts, its needs, its residents, and especially its politics. Someone who's a trust builder. Someone comfortable in cowboy boots roaming their local ranch and in a coat and tie roaming the state capitol or the congressional halls of Washington, D.C. I know CCWD would benefit immensely from appointing Jack Garamendi, no matter the length of his service, as Director of Division Two. Thank you.
I appreciate you getting to the agenda item. Thank you.
Well, I reached my point.
If you're done, you might as well just sit down. Yep, it happened though.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so is there any other public comment? Is there anybody online? Anybody else out here? Okay, so we will move on to the next item, which is possible nominations. Is there a nomination of any of the candidates? I'd like to make a nomination of Jack Garamendi.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be
You don't need to
seconded,
be second.
but
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to close nomination.
I'll second the nomination to close nominations.
I don't know if I can make a comment, but I must say that I'm glad I didn't have to run against such a esteemed group of colleagues. I actually had to struggle a little bit. I actually agree on the Garamendi, but I would love to have seen a little weight given to gender balance, and I appreciate Miss Eastburn's skills, but I think overall, what she said is I'm fine for the nomination.
Well, okay, do we have to vote on that real quick, or is there more?
No,
time?
I got a comment.
Yeah.
I really appreciate Bob Dean, Catherine, Julio, all showing up, and Jack as well. It is a very qualified candidate. Each of you guys had a thought-provoking answer in different questions. I think any of you would have served this board well had the candidate pool been different, and really appreciate everyone showing up. Thank you.
Evening?
Yeah, I just wondered, hearing all these wonderful comments and responses to the questions, is there any possibility we could expand the board to 6 or 7 people? So probably that would be a stretch, I guess. Huh?
It's not on today's agenda.
Yeah, it's what?
It's not on today's agenda.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, anyway, seeing Catherine here again makes me wonder, how did we let her get away? I mean, she's. Man,
Also
man.
not on today's agenda.
Well, I also want to, mention everybody, the interviews were terrific. I mean, Bob obviously brings a lot of experience, Catherine and Julio. I mean, really, it's a shame you left Ione because they got in big trouble after you left. But, yeah, well, my reason for recommending Jack Garamendi, I've sat on the board up in McCollum Watershed with him for many, many years now, and actually sat next to him. I just, his insight and his ability to understand the need for the watershed protection in that area, and the work that we've done with the Upper McCollum Watershed is really pretty phenomenal. It goes unheralded. Also, I've been to DC with Jack. He knows, what our political, financial needs are, and has that ability, I believe, to help us in the halls of Congress as we walk through, even though he won't go into his there's one office he won't go into there. But we do, and we really appreciate that congressman's effort. So again, thank everybody for coming. And Ralph, I just didn't know you were getting to the point. I thought you were just scolding us, and I apologize. But I have to keep it on the agenda. So my apologies to you. But so anyway, with that, if there isn't any more public comment, is there any public comment? And then we'll take a vote.
You would vote to close the nomination.
Close the nomination, yeah. Please call roll.
Director Thomas?
Yes, yes.
Director Ratterman?
Yes.
Director Robertson?
Yes.
President Davidson?
Yes. Now for the nomination of Jack Garamendi. Please call roll.
Director Thomas?
Yes.
Director Ratterman?
Yes.
Director Robertson,
Yes.
President Davidson.
Yes. Congratulations. You can earn $700 a month. You had the best answer for that, because I was like, anyway, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
It's up to 700.
Do we go ahead and, do we have you?
Yeah.
Do we take a quick break and then we come back for the oath?
Yeah. Oh, take a break. He should be taking a seat. Finish the meeting.
What's that?
He should be taking his seat to finish the meeting.
Did anybody bring the paddle? Thank you, sir.
Of course, it's still warm from last week.
All right, Rebecca.
Okay, so we'll go ahead with the oath of office. I, and state your name,
I, Jack Aramindy,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will and well faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Come and join us, please.
So I get to sit by him? Wow, that's pretty cool.
All right, that concludes our meeting.
No, we got a couple more items.
We have a
Board report.
yeah, report.
We just reported.
I do that.
Okay, board reports, information,
Good stuff.
items, future agenda. Jeff, do you have anything?
I do not.
Scott?
Yeah, I just want to know where our advisory group has gone. I just feel rudderless, running these meetings without them, without their advice on every agenda item.
Do you have anything?
Would you like for me to call him and invite him back? Probably not. Let's see. Why don't you report on yours? Let me look at my calendar.
I have nothing to report since day before yesterday.
Okay. I wanted to ask Scott about the meeting on the 13th, Mountain Counties. Is that is going to be conducted at the Black Oak facility?
Black Oak Casino in Tuolumne, California.
Right. Okay. So that is the come one, come all meeting, like,
You got to
You-
register for it online
Okay.
and it's probably in your email.
okay.
If not, I could send it. Have you gotten any Mountain County stuff? I could forward it to you to share with the board. I'll do that right
Thank
now.
you.
Do you also have to register for that reception on Thursday night, the 12th?
It is a roundtable and reception.
Okay,
Yeah, and you do have to register for that.
for both.
Just one item.
Oh, okay.
It's all together at the, it's a
Your board
roundtable
meeting's the next day.
and then a board meeting's the following morning at 9 a.m. in the same place.
Okay.
There is a room block there for, that's a part of, that is also a part of the same email.
Okay.
I thought we were on the distribution list for that. I'm sorry.
Haven't seen it.
I will get that to you.
Okay, well, that's the only thing I wanted to mention, that I will be going to that event at Black Oak concerning Mountain Counties water resources, but looking forward. Well, we have a special meeting coming up to discuss the NCPA contract. That's going to be exciting. And then also on the 14th of June, there's another very important event that I'll be attending. Is the wedding of our former director Underhill. So how cool is that?
What day is it?
14th.
Okay.
Right.
Jack, do you have anything?
Mr. President, not the report, but it looks like the joining the majority here.
Couple of balls.
Just looking down the table here, I'm in good company.
Yeah.
But nothing reports.
A lot of reflection going on here.
Right. You know, I do want to say one thing, and perhaps you want to expand our study session on.
No,
Okay,
we will not expand.
okay,
Sorry,
all right.
President.
Okay,
But the time, we could talk about the time. Is it 9 or 8 or 10?
So there is a closed session special board meeting on the 16th at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, okay.
all right, that's all I really wanted to hear about. But I did want to, I understand that Cindy, when she resigned, didn't want a resolution or anything like that, but I just want to say that, you know, she really was a terrific advocate for ratepayers, and she really worked hard to, you know, try to find ways, you know, to cut things. I think what happens a lot of times here, new board members come in and they just think, you know, we just don't know what we're doing. You know, we must not know what we're doing because it costs so much. And then after a year or two, they realize just how relentless, you know, the state legislation and the rules and regulations that we have to comply with are. But I want to thank her. I think we still should do a resolution of support for her based on the sentiment like I shared. I mean, she really worked hard to be an
I
advocate.
concur. I agree.
I think that's a great idea. I was kind of kicking myself a little bit for not mentioning at the outset. You know, I wouldn't speak for Director Cicada, but I think she'd be okay with me saying that, you know, she left for personal reasons that and very graciously with nothing but gratitude and respect for the remaining board members and yeah, she contributed a lot while she was here. She definitely, you know, held my feet to the fire at times, and I respect that. I appreciate that, and I think it's healthy for board members to ask tough questions of staff, and I think she helped make us better in that way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she had requested that, but I just thought, kind of assumed that something would be coming, but I wholeheartedly agree that we should honor her in some manner.
It'll be on the next agenda.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else from the board? Anything else from anybody? Okay, the meeting's adjourned.
Good meeting.